Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you and a very logical weekend to all of you. So, let's see what we have today in our treasure box. So, that's April 8, Editorial Explain. The first one of Indian Express it is related to IT. So, IT misrules. So, we can understand now misrules would mean what? That IT is coming up with a few rules, or there are a few rules or misrules that are negatively impacting the IT. So let's read. At a time when no one seems to agree on a common definition of well, anything, should a government appointed fact check unit be the authority for determining what is fake, false, or misleading news? Hardly anybody agrees to a single thing. No, that is what the author starts with this question. That can there be a single unit, fact check unit? Can it be the authority for determining what is fake, false, or misleading? Almost 3 months after the central government ordered the takedown of a BBC documentary on the violence in Gujarat 2002, under the watch of then Chief Minister Narendra Modi, the Ministry of Electronics and IT notified Thursday the amendments to the Information Technology Rules 2021. So they are coming up with amendments, or they have come up with the amendments. And these amendments allow for the creation of a fact check body to identify whether information related to the central government is accurate or not. So anything but related to the central government, with whatever information is given on the social media or anywhere, is that information accurate or not? ये इसको check करेंगे. In January 2, the government had proposed that news identified as fake by the PIB not be allowed on online intermediaries, while the reference to PIB has now been dropped. The underlying motivation that seems to be guiding the amendments is disquietingly the same. Underlying motivation means why were they motivated to propose this? And what are they doing here? Coming up with a separate authority, right? So the author says that the motivation is the same. And what is it? To arrogate to itself, that means the central government, to a role of an editor with unbridled and unchecked powers to decide what can be published and what cannot. तो एरोगेट का मतलब उनका खुद का क्लेम होगा, राइट होगा क्या करने का. The role of an editor, that means it can cut, edit anything that is written. Unbridled ka meaning, even if you do not know the meaning of unbridled, you can understand the word unchecked. To keep in check means to keep in control. So unbridled will be uncontrolled. So uncontrolled powers to decide what can be published and what cannot. Of course, fake news can foment violence in impatient and tumultuous times. The recent fake videos of migrants being attacked fuel panic and fear, and the accused should face the full force of the law. Taken this to be true. The author says, yes, we agree to this. So now, if you do not know the meaning of foment, you at least know the meaning of fuel. Fuel panic and fear means to give rise to. So this fake news can give rise to violence in impatient and tumultuous times. So tumultuous का मतलब भी impatient हो गया. So you don't need to get stuck on the difficult words, right? At a framework where a unit of the government is endowed with discretion to determine the genuineness of online content is fraught with peril. So what is fraught with peril? This framework. What is there in the framework? That there will be a separate body to check what? To check whether the news that is there on all the media, right, is true and not fake. Now, will is if all this is in the discretion of the government, how the government is going to behave, or rather decide what is true or it is fake, will be problematic. Why? Because the government will be autocratic in that manner and it will be able to edit anything on its own discretion. उसकी जब मर्जी होगी तब वो किसी भी चीज को, किसी भी न्यूज को फेक कर सकते हैं. Right? They'll get that much leeway. So, a framework where a unit of the government is endowed with discretion to determine the genuineness of online content is fraught with peril. It also short circuits the procedures, safeguards, and conditions laid out in Shreya Singhal Union of India or under Section 69A of the IT Act, which define, that means those conditions earlier in the Act, they define and restrict the conditions under which government can take down the online content. उस एक्ट के तहत गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट there were conditions that in what or under what condition can the government take down the online content. So this check that they are making, this unit that they are creating, is actually bypassing the conditions of that act. Now, it's also not in tune with some reformist changes the government has brought in other aspects of tech regulation. So, here the government has come up with a plus, here the government has come up with a plus in the act also. And now, what they are doing is they are coming up with an unbridled hold on the content. So, under the new amendments, social media intermediaries like Facebook and Twitter would have to take down posts, and internet service providers would have to block the URLs marked as fake. Failure to do so could lead to the social media platforms losing the safe harbor protections afforded to them under Section 79 of the IT Act. Given that media organizations use social media platforms for dissemination of news, this will also have implications for news publishers, journalists, and readers. Dissemination means the spread. So the social media platforms, their task now is to spread the news, but then if they are spreading fake news and they do not hold back that content, they do not take down the content, they would be losing the safe harbor protections afforded to them under the Act, IT Act 79A, Section 79. So, in this paragraph, what is being said is that this particular unit that will be created is full of danger, fraught with peril. And second negative thing is that all this Section 69A of the IT Act, it defines and restricts the conditions on the government has some restrictions there. This plus this under the new amendments, this is happening. So reformist changes जो भी थे यहाँ पे safeguards वाले थे, procedures and safeguard, all this was in the previous act. Up till now it was going on, but now with this creation of the new unit, the positives of that act are going to be bypassed or are going to be neutralized then. Next, recent court rulings had sought to raise the guardrails vis-a-vis government oversight overline content. ये court rulings हैं. They tried to raise the guardrail. The Madras High Court in T.M. Krishna's Union of India and the Bombay High Court in Promotion of 1901 Media Private Limited in ORS versus Union of India put a hold on the rules which provided government a wider say on content on OTT or digital media platforms. This is according to the court rulings. What happened in these cases, what they are mentioning here are the examples. But what happened in these cases is that the government had a wider say and the SC put a hold on these rules. ठीक है, तो जहां पे गवर्नमेंट को काफी कंट्रोल हो रहा था या मिल रहा था, ऐसे कंडीशंस में एससी ने उनके रूल्स को कंट्रोल में रखा. दे पुट अ होल्ड ऑन द रूल्स which provided government a wider say on content on OTT or digital media platforms. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Ministry of State for Electronics and IT, has said that any doubts in the minds of the people that the power will be misused on behalf of the government will be addressed. So, okay, he says, let's see, if we are going to misuse the power, then we'll address, and if somebody has a suspicion or doubt on us that we are misusing the power, then we can address the problem when it appears. However, in a climate where laws are increasingly weaponized to curb opposition and dissent, such provisions will be misused. This comes up as the author's point. He says that, see, if this unbridled hold or this uncontrolled hold of the government on the content, on the online content, Even if the government is working as per its own its discretion, then there's a possibility that they are going to misuse the power. Why? Because laws are increasingly weaponized nowadays. मतलब laws को इस weapon बना के use कर रहे हैं और उसके तहत opposition और dissent को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं, opposition को curb कर रहे हैं. Right? So they are trying to curb opposition and dissent. Such provisions will be misused according to the author. The government must rethink the amendment. This is the author's major point. So what is he doing in the complete passage? That was 3 paragraphs. So he stated that that a unit will be created. What are the provisions of that unit? That it is going to be unbridled. It is going to be editing whatever content is there on the social platforms. And if there is anything fake, it will have to be removed. Iska decide karna will be the task of the creative unit. Second paragraph has said that, see, there was an act earlier, the IT Act, section 79. So it provided quite a room to the IT, to the platforms. But if this unit is created, then all those things will be bypassed. Third paragraph says that, see, there have been so many cases where the Supreme Court has actually held back the rules. They have put a hold on the rules. मतलब उन rules को कौन से rules को which provided the government a wider say. That means it was giving a wide berth to the government. काफी उसको लीवे मिल रहा था कि हम ठीक है गवर्नमेंट अपने हिसाब से काम कर सकती है. Such in such cases the Supreme Court has controlled the government, right? So if the Supreme Court is doing this regarding the content on OTT and digital media platforms, then comes the author's point that the people think that the power will be misused, and it is possible. But when the minister says that, see, if we are misusing the power and if the people think so, so we will come, we will address the problem when it appears. That is, see, very straightforward. He said it. But then, according to the author, the point here is that nowadays the time is of weaponizing all these things. So when they are using law as a weapon to curb the opposition, the opposition का जैसे stranglehold करना है, उसका आवाज दबा देनी opposition की, that is the point. So if the today's climate is scenario is such that the laws are being used as a weapon to curb opposition and dissent, definitely such provisions and if such units are created to hold back the content, these are units are going to misuse their powers. So, as per the author, the government must rethink the amendment. Right? That was a brief description of the whole passage. Let's see the main idea. So, government sets itself up as a judge, jury, and executioner. The judge भी वही, jury भी वही, और executioner भी वही of the online content, and sends a chilling signal on free speech. So if the government has complete power and at its own discretion, it has an absolute power, complete power यानी absolute power. ठीक है, absolute power क्यों रहेगा उसके पास? क्योंकि वो एक यूनिट क्रिएट कर रही है. जब एक यूनिट क्रिएट करेगी, checking the content, the online content, TENT, right? Content will be checked, and if it is fake, they will have to remove it. Right, and if they do not remove it, then the provisions or the amenities that they got in the Section 79 IT Act, all those will be taken back. That means what? That the government will be the sole owner of that online content. That means not owner in the meaning of the word, but yes, it will have the complete power to check what is to be given to the people and what is to be stopped, held back. So the free speech will be hampered. तभी वो इसमें लिखा है चिलिंग सिग्नल. चिलिंग का मतलब होता है ऐसे कंडीशंस होने वाली है जिसका हम सोच भी नहीं सकते हैं या तो जो कि डराने वाली हैं. That is a chilling signal. So I hope you have understood this. Coming to the vocabulary part. Chilling signal is something that is threatening or frightening. So you can write the word threatening also. Disquietingly means disquiet, quiet nahi hai. Quiet का opposite disquiet मतलब disturbing, troubling. Dissent, discord, disagreement, those defectors would be dissent could be used for anything, just you go back on your beliefs or you leave one group and state something else. So disagree will be the easiest word here. Arrogate is to claim your right or your demand. Unbridled, bridle का मतलब होता है वो घोड़े पर जो लगाम दी जाती है वो ब्राइडल होता है. तो अनब्राइडल्ड का मतलब होता है अनकंट्रोल्ड. अनचेक्ड, अनरिस्ट्रेन्ड समझ सकते हैं. Foment is to increase, to fuel or to stimulate. Give rise to will be the easier word. Tumultuous, turmoil, unbridled, unrestrained will be tumultuous conditions होते हैं ऐसे. ठीक है, टर्मोइल वाली ये दिया है मैंने टर्मोइल tumultuous conditions. At your discretion, that means it will be your preference, your choice, your decision taking. उसे कहते हैं discretion. Discreet होता है हमारी मर्जी, हम जो भी करें अपना दिमाग लगा के हम जो करेंगे वो होगा at our discretion. Fraught is to be full of. फ्रॉट विथ पेरिल बोला था उसने, तो ये खतरों से भरा हुआ है. क्या अगर ये एक यूनिट बन जाता है एंड द गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू take down the content which according to the government seems to be fake. So now it may be a right content, but the government doesn't want it to be given to the public. So still it can take down that content. So fraud का मतलब होता है full of. Implications are the effects. Simple word is effect. Another word that if you have to write is repercussions and consequences. हम समझ सकते हैं तो repercussions कर लें. Curb is to hold back, restrain, curtail. Cut कर सकते हैं उसे. Simple word. So that's all for today. And I hope if you have missed any of the recording, kindly go through it. You have a Saturday, you have a Sunday also, and whichever week you can do it. You keep this in mind that whatever you have missed in the previous week, you are going to complete it at least by Monday. Monday or Sunday next week, because Saturday, Sunday you all have test also. So apart from all this, yes, we'll be taking the lengthier editorial, the article that is next to the editorial on Monday. So let's see what we have in our next week. So thank you and have a very logical week ahead. Thank you.